So most people have good intentions,
Yeah.
but what the human thinks the dog needs or how it thrives is almost exactly opposite of what the dog truly sees and needs and desires and just needs to thrive in their world. Like it's the opposite of what humans give a dog.
Welcome to the Let's Talk Shit podcast. I am your host, Lisa Garrett. I am a wife, mom of 4 boys, 2 German Shepherds, and I'm a gut and psychology practitioner. Look, I know you've done all the things with diet and exercise, and I also know that your health means the world to you. I'm going to show you how your gut health is the game changer to your weight, your confidence, and your stamina. So if you're ready to become the shit in your life, then let's jump in. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Shit. I'm your host, Lisa Garrett. And oh my gosh, you're going to love the guest today, because if you have ever felt like your dog doesn't respect you, this episode with my incredible guest today will explain why. You're going to learn how your energy and your confidence affects your dog's behavior all the way down the leash. And last, you're going to leave today with some practical tips that will help you change the behavior of yourself and your dog without yelling and all the chaos. So today's guest is Larry Krohn, and he is a well-respected international dog trainer. He has a huge following on Facebook. You guys should check him out. He teaches dog owners how to become confident leaders, not anxious managers. He's the author of Everything You Need to Know About E-Collar Training. His work is rooted in real-life behavior change, not these internet trends. And he teaches one core truth: your dog isn't the problem. You are the missing piece. So welcome, Larry.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm so glad we connected. So tell me a little bit about yourself, like just in general, just about you personally.
Well, I'm actually nervous about this because I do a lot of podcasts, and I have for years, but they're always dog podcasts, And I don't know if I've done any that aren't like truly just based off of dogs. So when I talk to you, this kind of hits both ends of where I shouldn't have said that, no pun intended.
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah. So, yeah, my name's Larry Krohn. I own Packmasters Dog Training. I live and operate out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm originally from New Jersey. Me and my wife grew up in New Jersey, and we are high school sweethearts, and we left in 1996. That's when we got married in 97, and I started my career as a federal agent in 1996, and that's around the same time, 1997, as we got our first dog as a married couple. And we did what most people do when they get a dog. We completely screwed it up. We destroyed it. We made it very mentally weak. He was our baby. He was our child. We didn't know what we were doing. We had good intentions, and by the time he was 5 months old, he was an absolute wreck, and I started working with my first dog trainer, and I got the bug on the behavior side of things from then. And to make a long story short, it just dove right in, and it exploded. I planned on doing the business on a very small scale on the side, so I'd have something to do when I retire from the government. I retired at 49, I retired in 2021. Keeping it small didn't last long. Like, once YouTube came around and started posting videos, it just exploded, and my business around the Nashville area just took off. And so basically I was doing both full time, and it got pretty exhausting, but it's I've been very blessed to travel the world and all over the country, and still working with a lot of people and a lot of dogs. And I just enjoy it very much, but at the same time, it can get overwhelming because it never stops. Everyone has dogs. Everyone continues to get dogs. Everyone, just like what I did in the beginning, continues to screw their dogs up. And so it's one of those industries where burnout rate is extremely, extremely high. It really is. And especially since I've always kept it small, just me. My wife does the business end for me as of the past year or two, and I'm too type A, I'm too much of a control freak to ever hire people to help me and train dogs under my name. So this is the way it's probably going to stay forever, I think, anyway. You never know.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, when you said your first dog, first of all, two questions. What was the breed? And second of all, how did you screw it up?
Yeah, so I was looking for a Rottweiler. I wanted a Rottweiler. And we were in Arizona at the time, and I was traveling all over Arizona looking for a Rottweiler. And then a guy with the agency I worked for, a buddy of mine, said, "Hey, I got Rottweiler puppies." I was like, "No, you don't." He goes, "Yeah, I do. Come check them out." So I went down to check out his puppies, and he lived literally right on the Mexican border. Like his backyard backed up to the Mexican border. And I looked at the mama and these puppies. I said, "They're not Rottweilers." He goes, "Well, they're half Rottweilers." I was like, "You're so full of shit, you know." But there's another pun, right?
Yeah.
But the second you see puppies, it's hard to turn away. And I wanted a male, so I said, "Take all the males out away from the mom, this side of the fence." And I just want to check them out. And when he did that, they were all screaming to get back to the mother, except for this one little quiet guy off by himself, not making a peep. And I said, "That's my dude right there." And I took him, and he was a federal agent for the day, and I had him with me all day, and he was my little canine, and he was so cute. But the mom was a chocolate lab, and the neighbor's border collie jumped the fence, and so it was lab border collie. And he definitely had more border collie traits and looked more border collie, but his traits were very high. And, we took him home. My wife didn't know. I surprised her. And to paint the picture, it was her first day of work. She was very homesick. I took her away from her family, and she had just started her first job in Arizona. And I couldn't wait for her to get home, and it was getting late, and I kept calling, and she was very upset. She was having trouble at work, couldn't get things right. And she wound up working late into the night. And when she showed up, she was hysterical crying. She had such a bad day. And as she's walking up the steps, I'm holding this puppy, and she looks and just stopped and grabbed the puppy, and he just started licking her tears, and she fell in love. And his name was Ben, and he was like the greatest dog ever, but we destroyed him. We really did.
How did you destroy him? Because you just babied him?
Yeah, big time. Like, for example, like we lived in an apartment complex in Arizona that didn't allow dogs, first of all, but I rarely follow rules. That's just me. And the second we put him in a crate and walked out of the room, he was screaming, screaming. And so he said, "Okay, we can't do that to him. This is terrible." And so eventually we just put baby gates up and left him in the kitchen. And I remember, like, the first time I put him in there, I came home from work, and I walk in and I see the gate knocked over, and I see like white little footsteps all over the carpet. And I'm going, "Holy shit, what just happened?" And then I see movement out my side, and here comes this, he was pure black. Here comes this pure black dog dancing out of my bedroom, and he's covered in white powder, and all you can see is his eyes. I had a case of protein supplement packets, like meal replacements, on the ground. And he got in and tore him up, and he had a party. And I was so mad, but when I looked at him, I couldn't be mad. It was the cutest thing ever. But that's what we did. We couldn't leave him. He would scream, and we just gave in to all of that. And today I speak a lot about making our puppies and our dogs mentally tough. So I've been through it all. I've done it all. I've made all the mistakes. So almost everything I do in dog training is because I've been there and screwed it up. And I know what it's like to be on that end.
Okay, so you guys had just moved. Your wife was really homesick.
Yeah.
You were probably picking up on her homesick, and you were
Yeah.
looking for a dog. We all know that dogs just warm your hearts, especially puppies. So let's start with the big truth. Like, why do you think your dog is a reflection of you, especially at that time?
I don't know if it's a reflection of you. Like, I don't know if I'd say that, but what we do, I used to be very guilty of being very judgmental of people at times that I work with. Like for example, when there's certain people you work with, they do not have the ability to do what you ask them to do, or at least seem like they don't want to, or they will make excuses and joke about it, you know what I mean? And I learned the hard way, and I've told this story before, and there was one case in particular where I did not like this person I was working with because they made excuses for everything, and I don't like that. Mm-hmm. But after diving deeper and really sitting down and talking, I realized the reason why she could not tell her two dogs no, didn't have the ability to. She had been beyond hell and back, like the worst
Mm.
trauma that a mother could possibly think of.
Mm.
And the second I received that information, it all made sense now why she could not tell her dogs no, why she could not do the things she needed to do. And I won't take too much time up with that because that would be a whole podcast in itself. You know what I mean? But honestly, Lisa, most people have good intentions,
Yeah.
but what the human thinks the dog needs or how it thrives is almost exactly opposite of what the dog truly sees and needs and desires and just needs to thrive in their world. Like it's the opposite of what humans give a dog.
Yeah, that's so true. So we have four boys, and our boys were raised with shepherds. And I just remember our dog trainer saying, Lisa, like, you've got to, you have to be more confident and just take the lead. And I would just be mush. But I have to tell you, as a mom,
Yeah.
I was so hard on my kids. They
Mm,
didn't get away when they were little. When they were older, I'm
yeah.
sure they got away with all kinds of shit. But when they
Mhm.
were young, they didn't. But man, I got these German shepherds, and I just became putty, just mush, because I just couldn't get past how freaking cute and ornery they were.
Sure. Sure.
And
Sure.
that's a breed right there. Like, you either train them or they train you,
Well, I
pretty much.
speak about this all the time, and I think I've told you this. I can make a living just off German Shepherds. Like most
You can make a
people,
living off me.
yeah, most people should not have them. You know, it's a dog
Yeah.
that's bred for a very specific reason. And one of the areas that people really mess up with all dogs is when you have a puppy, like people don't realize you think you're raising a puppy, you're not. You're raising a dog, right? And so you allow a puppy to do things that you would never allow a full-grown dog to do.
Oh,
And then
that's a good way to look at it.
yeah, and then when that dog gets to a certain age and now you decide it's time, you don't like that, you're going to stop, it becomes very difficult. And
Yeah.
you have a couple of different responses that you could get from the dog. For one, the first time you tell a dog, "Hey, you can't do that. I don't like this." And when you do it properly, the dog just shuts down and falls apart because it's never been told no, right?
Yeah.
Or it says, "Screw you," and now we're going to have a battle because you don't get to tell me what to do. So for me, I have really well-behaved dogs. They're not robots, you know what I mean? They're
Right.
dogs. They get on your nerves. They're a pain in the ass sometimes. And I have very, very high drive dogs, like insane dogs. But I
Don't you
put
have a
in
Belgian? Do you have a Belgian?
no, I have three Belgians.
Oh,
I have three Belgians, a German Shepherd, a Golden Doodle, and a long-haired Chihuahua. Okay, yeah.
okay, this is awesome.
Yeah, and so for me, I have really well-behaved, like social dogs that like people, like dogs, but I put in all the work in the beginning as puppies. That's what I
Yeah.
do, and I make my puppies mentally strong. I've learned the hard way, you know. But I also don't allow the puppy to do things that I'm not going to want it to do when it's older, you know. So by the time my dogs are 2 years old, I want a dog that's self-sufficient. I don't have to give much guidance anymore because they
Yeah.
have the ability to make the right decisions on their own. One of the biggest, couple of the biggest mistakes that almost everybody makes is, for one, they get the wrong dog, the wrong breed for the wrong lifestyle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then they give that puppy or that new dog way too much freedom before it can handle it. Like it's the two most common mistakes. And then instead of really busting your ass and creating proper management when they're in the early stages from the beginning, and don't get me wrong, it's exhausting. I have a 5-month-old puppy right now. I'm fried. My blood pressure's high, and I'm not joking. I'm exhausted. I'm not
Yeah.
sleeping. It's a lot. But if you bust your ass for a couple of months early on, then that dog becomes self-sufficient. So you could put in the work in the beginning, put in the management in the beginning, and if you don't, you're going to manage that dog the rest of your life, and that sucks.
It does suck because
Yeah.
then they become a burden. So that kind of goes along with,
Yeah.
like, how does a dog respond when the owner is inconsistent, anxious, or I'm going to say lazy?
Yeah, sure. So my buddy Jay says it best, right? People always talk about structure, like dogs need structure, right? And I love what my friend Jay says. They don't need structure; they need clarity, right? We
Mm,
use we use structure to provide that clarity. But the goal is to get off of the structure. You understand? So
Right.
you get a new dog or a puppy, and it's in your house, and all of a sudden it poops in one of the rooms or pees or chews something up. People get mad. That's not the puppy's. That's your fault. You allowed that to happen. You can't scold a puppy for that. That's what they
Right.
do. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's very simple. Early on, if I can't have my eyes on that puppy, it's in the crate. So I either have a leash on the dog in the house or it's crated if I can't have my eyes on it at full times. You avoid developing bad habits and you teach good habits instead of allowing bad habits to develop, and then you have to bust your ass to fix those things. And that's why there's more dog trainers than ever. It's easy money for a lot of people. Now, most people shouldn't be training dogs because anyone can say they're a dog trainer, right? But there's such a demand for help because people struggle and mess up their dogs nonstop. You know,
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
epidemic.
So I did watch one of your reels on negative reinforcement versus punishment. So
Sure.
the puppy or the dog that does the thing that you don't want, and especially if the dog is older, and let's say the dog is still peeing in the house, and people are like, the dog's not potty trained, which kind of blows my mind. It was always our goal with a puppy or a rescue, or we adopted a dog, 2 weeks. That dog is potty trained. We gave ourselves that 2 week window. That dog will be, and we just, night after day, it
Sure.
was our job.
Hmm.
And that's never been one of our issues. We have other ones. But so talk about the negative reinforcement because you talk about turn chaos into calm, which I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
so most people don't, I don't get very deep into terms and science terms and language because the average dog owner don't care and it doesn't make sense to them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume the majority of people watching this are just dog owners, like your people, right? So in dog training, just so you guys know, when you hear the word negative, it doesn't mean bad, right? It just means the removal of something. When you hear the word positive, it doesn't mean good. It means the addition of something. And punishment has a very bad association. People think of it very poorly. You think of creating pain and creating fear, you know, and it's something ugly. Well, it's not. Don't get me wrong. There's a vast majority of dog trainers out there that do make it that because they don't know what they're doing. And the truth is, when you truly understand punishment, you rarely have to use punishment. That's the difference. So, for example, when I say negative reinforcement, let's say, and when you hear the words reinforcement, that means that you're trying to achieve a behavior, trying to teach something, trying to make something happen more often. When you hear punishment, it means you're trying to get rid of a behavior or make it less likely to happen, right? So when you hear negative reinforcement, you're removing something to try to make something more likely to happen. So for example, we have a leash and a collar on the dog, right? And we ask the dog to sit, and then right after we tell it to sit, we immediately go to help it with the leash, right? You're giving little light taps, you maybe touch in on the butt. You're showing the dog what to do and how to remove that pressure from the leash, okay? But even that part, dog trainers get wrong, right? I will demonstrate this in front of people with the weakest, most scared dogs, and you'll watch them come to life. Because understanding negative reinforcement is very powerful for dogs, very powerful in teaching, right? Very, very motivational for dogs because it gives them the ability to be in control. So I could take a very scared dog and ask it to sit and then help it through light pressure. And when the butt hits the ground, that pressure goes away and we run around and we celebrate a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can give that leash back to the owner and say, do the same thing. And they'll ask the dog to sit and the dog doesn't sit and then they correct the shit out of the dog real hard. It's not the same thing,
They pop it.
right? By definition, you're doing the same thing. By definition, by reality and by the perception of the dog, it's not the same thing.
Right.
Okay? But at the same time, that's not punishment either. That's just overly aversive negative reinforcement that's not going to get the dog that you want. It's not going to achieve what you're trying to do. Okay? So negative reinforcement is escape avoidance training. We're adding some kind of pressure, and here it's the leash, and we're teaching the dog how to turn it off, how to escape it. And if we do our job properly, where the timing and the order of things is right, and we motivate the dog, we show the dog how to do it, and it is our job to teach the dog how to turn it off. In the end, the goal is the avoidance part. You say sit, tap, 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 dog sits. You say sit, tap, tap, dog sits. Excuse me. And then one day you say sit, and the dog sits really fast because now it's in the avoidance part. It knows how to avoid any type of pressure, right? And it becomes a game. It's powerful, right? And it makes the dog strong-minded, okay? That's very powerful in teaching behaviors. The difference with true punishment, actual punishment, is the dog doesn't have that ability to turn it off, okay? And when most people use punishment, they add something highly aversive, painful, adding discomfort, whatever. The dog may stop, but then goes back to doing the behavior. What does the human do? They get a little louder, correct a little harder, and it becomes a vicious cycle, right? The reason that rarely works is because that's not punishment. You're using very unclear negative reinforcement. For example, your dog is blowing up at the end of the leash because it sees a dog, right? And you say no, and you pop the leash real hard, and the dog stops. Okay? Now it turns around and looks at you like, oh shit. And then most people will praise the dog or reward that. That's insanity. What's the difference between what you did with that and the sit with the negative reinforcement? Almost everyone will say, well, the punishment was much harder. Well, force doesn't necessarily make it punishment. Right? What did you do when the dog stopped and looked at you? You praised and rewarded it, and you stopped the punishment. Now the dog believes it could get away with the barking. You add the punishment, it stops what it's doing and gets rewarded, and you build this vicious cycle. When in reality, if you said no and gave a few quick pops instead of being so brutal, and the dog stops and looks at you, right? If you stop there, now the dog believes the eye contact got him out of the punishment, okay? But if you say, hey, wrong answer, a few more times, and you stretch it out, showing the dog that you can't get out of it now. Like, you have to pay the penalty for this behavior. And almost always, I have to tell trainers and owners, you got to ease up on the dog. You don't have to be so hard on the dog physically, right? You have to do it. You have to present this in a way that it makes sense to the dog, and they understand that during this event, you can't get out of it. Like, you screwed up. I need that behavior to be done for good. It's that simple, right? But that's something that even most dog trainers don't understand, and they fail miserably when it comes to stopping bad behaviors.
Yeah, because I've been told by a number of dog trainers, redirect.
Yeah, it's insanity. You'll be
Like,
doing that
turn
the rest of
around
the dog's life.
and just walk away, or have a ball and redirect, and it doesn't. It's avoidance at that point.
It's you'll be doing that the rest of the dog's life. It's not going to work.
Yeah. So okay. So then, I guess. So this kind of goes back to, like, what does using your voice mean in dog training? Like tone, clarity, or no voice? Because sometimes it's just as the dog gets older, they look up at you and they're like, oh, you got this. Like, I've seen that from my dogs. Like,
Sure.
Are we good?
Yeah.
They're looking at me to be their protector. They see dogs that are behind a fence, and we just walk our normal route, and they don't, they'll kind of mean mug the dogs, but they don't bark or lunge. So how does voice, tone, or no voice affect all of that?
Dogs don't care so much about your words, right? And if we're going to teach a dog what our words truly mean, then we have to be very consistent and teach it in a way that makes sense to the dog. That's not their language, right? Their language is physical, your body language, your attitude, your presence, your facial
energy.
expressions, your eyes, all of it, right? So yes, your tone matters, like the way you present something to your dog. Like for example, if you know that your dog struggles walking past a dog without blowing up, and all of a sudden you're walking and you see it looking, and then it makes the right choice, it's really important to give that dog feedback, right? Nice job, buddy. I see what you did there. But most people will take it overboard and, oh my God, the craziness. That's not helpful in the dog's world. You understand what I mean? It's just not. And we say things that make no sense to the dog. We repeat things over and over, and we never teach our words in a way that benefit the dog. And they try very hard to get us. So I'll give you a simple example. When I do seminars, a lot of times, and it's a lot of dog trainers there, I'll say, who has really good obedience on their dog? And a lot of people will raise their hand. I'll pick out one person. Come out and work your dog. A few minutes, everything your dog knows. And they go through this routine, and a lot of times it'll look real good. I say, okay, cool, nice job. Now I want you to do the same routine, except this time I want you to stand there, put your arms at your side, and don't move. And just give all the same commands. 99 out of 100 people fail miserably because
Wow.
the dog don't know the words. They know the physical help that you're giving it. The hands, the body, the head, that's what they're watching. That's what they learn. And so if you teach things, for example, let's say you're teaching a sit. This is very common, right? People go sit, sit,
Yeah.
sit. Your dog's not learning the sound. It's learning this. If you want it to understand both, you have to say sit and then help. Sit and then help. And if we're consistent, one day you say sit, and before you could do anything, the dog, boom, oh, I know what's coming next. So they anticipate that. It's the same thing that I said with the leash, right? Sit, pop, 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 dog sits, and one day before you get to use the leash, it stops. That's how they learn. So you have to break everything you're doing down into little pictures for it to make sense to the dog, or it just becomes one big fuzzy picture. And they're always going to learn the physical cues over the verbal cues because that's their language. That's what makes sense to them.
So, okay. So what would you say are the top 3 mistakes people make with their dogs?
Wrong breed for wrong lifestyle, right? Too much freedom too soon before the dog's ready, and humanizing the dog as if it's a young child.
Yeah.
Easily. That's consistent across the board. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Now,
That makes
on the
sense.
flip side, sometimes people go too far, especially dog trainers, not to humanize their dog, and they treat them like they're not living, breathing, emotional creatures. I don't want that either.
Right.
You know, I want you to respect the animal for what it is, an animal. You know,
Yeah.
they're social animals, but they're emotional beings, and,
Yeah.
and that pack instinct is very, very strong in them. You know, very
Yeah.
strong. It's why sometimes people will say, like, you've had that dog with you for 2 or 3 days. Why is it so crazy about you? Right? And it's because I make sense to that. That dog's crazy about me. Absolutely. Because it trusts me. Right? And we do cool things together that they enjoy. And I make things very clear for it. There's nothing left to chance. Like, they don't have to make all these decisions and try to guess which one is right. I make their world very clear. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the right breed for the right lifestyle is huge right out of the
Oh,
gate.
gosh. Yes.
I want to know, talk about the Doberman Ricky.
Oh man, that's my buddy. He's one of my
I want
favorite
to talk
dogs
because
ever.
I love how you explained he had a problem with other dogs and you
Yeah,
had him on this 50-foot lead and what happened and how I love how you said, you never want them to know they're being trained. It's in a playful way.
yeah, like yeah. If I'm working a dog, they should be when they see me show up or you come to me, they should be excited. They should never be, oh shit, like here we go again. No.
Okay.
So yesterday was our third session with Ricky. His big issue, he's a super loving, like he's such a love bug. Like I adore him. He's a great dog. He's got full of drive, a lot of energy, great owner, like really loves him and cares for him, right? So yesterday was our third private lesson. First time we left his house. First 2 were on their property. His big issue is dogs and small animals and stuff. So we took him out to a park in Nashville. I immediately put him on a 50-foot line. Get rid of the short leashes. Short leashes are killers for dogs. They create so much frustration.
Yeah,
Dog doesn't want to stay stuck at your side. They want to explore and do what comes natural to them, right?
correct.
So that's the first thing. Let him enjoy this. Let him run around. You know, we worked on some obedience and then more advanced stuff, right? Because you can't keep doing the same shit, especially with the highly intelligent dogs. Sit down, place. Oh my God, they want to blow their brains out. So we take the things, we take the things they know, and we start making it more complicated and challenging. So it keeps the dog interested, and we take the obedience to a whole new level. And that's what we were doing yesterday when we had a dog run up on Ricky 2 times. The first time, I was able to step in and control the dog, which is important for Ricky to see. He has to see, oh shit, when I'm with Uncle Larry, I don't have to worry about a damn thing. Like, this guy's nuts. Like, he's crazy. He's going to take that dog out because I will. Like,
Yep.
you're not getting to my dog. I'm going to step in and take care of that dog. That dog needs to know you can't come here, but more importantly, the dog I'm caring for has to know you have nothing to worry about. I'm going to take care of you. The problem was the second time, me and the owner are talking, and this dog came from a different direction, and we never saw it and got right on top of Ricky's face, like right to him. And of course, the owner panicked, and I started to panic. But then when I saw Ricky's body language, I was like, oh shit, let's let this play out. And the other dog was an asshole. He really was. And instead of making the bad choice, Ricky decided to just let's play. He tried to get him to play, and that dog started showing his teeth and growling. And I still let it go because Ricky's behavior was absolutely impeccable in this, the exact opposite of the problem that they have. So for the owner, this was the like she was just so thrilled that she got to see him in that light, knowing what he's capable of. You know what I mean? Now, if you're walking him down the street on a 6-foot line and there's all kinds of tension and he's pulling and you're pulling back and a dog runs up on you, you're going to have a whole different reaction from him, right? That's what we do in the protection world. We want a dog to bark and want to go bite a bad guy, right? We let them out in front of us. They start pulling toward the bad guy. We pull back. And we create this opposition reflex that makes the dog want to go harder. That's what the everyday dog owner does when they're walking their dog down the street and they just don't know it. They're literally teaching the dog to be an asshole every single day of their life.
That makes sense. Okay, so two questions. When your dog's on a 50-foot lead, are they on a flat collar, a prong, or a choke collar?
I let people use whatever they want. I train with a lot of flat collars. This is one of the things I've changed over the years. I used to be very rigid about that. Like I would want people on a flat collar, and because so many people overuse tools, I've eased up on that because I can't expect everyone to want to be a dog trainer, right? So now it's like whatever you need to make your life easy, that's what we'll use. I don't care. You pick and choose what you use. I don't care what you use. I think Ricky was on a prong collar, if I'm not mistaken, and one of the reasons we were there yesterday was to test him how he was with the e-collar work because I didn't do it. I wanted to make sure once I let him off leash, can I call him back no matter what's around? And he did really well. He did very, very well. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, okay. Let's talk about the difference between male, female dog owners because, like, I walk Leo and Rocky with prong collars, and they have not a 50-foot leash. They have a long leash, and we go in the morning to an open, like, meadow where no one's at. So we walk up,
Yeah.
and then we can let them off, and they can sniff around, hook them up, and walk them back.
Yeah.
And there's no one there. So the difference between my husband and me is like night and day with the dogs. He's got them walking next to him, they're healing.
Yeah.
And for me, I've got them out front and they're just sniffing, enjoying their walk. And,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of pull on the leash, but there's enough. And I just feel like men have bigger hands. Like, and when it comes to controlling my dogs, they outweigh me big time.
Sure. Sure.
So it's probably best if I walk them individually, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's not about, and this is another thing too over the years where I've really changed. I'm a big fan of walking your dog, right? If it's beneficial. For most people, it's not, right? What I tell most people, 10 minutes of productive play, when you understand the value of play, will get you much further than a 2-hour unproductive walk,
Yeah.
right?
I
So dogs are not meant to walk at our speed and be stuck next to us. However, they have to be able to do that when we need them to, right? So it's important that we teach them that, okay? Now, when someone tells me they can't walk their dog, it pulls them down the street, I say, okay, then why do you keep walking your dog? Well, I like to. Yeah, but it's not helping you. You're rewarding the behavior you don't want. And then
Yeah.
I'll say, also, if you tell your dog, let's say your command to be at your side is heel, like it could be anything, but let's say heel. I said, if your dog's out running around and you tell it to heel, will it come to you on its own without help and get in proper position? No one ever says yes. I say, okay, so let me get this straight. Your dog doesn't know where proper position is when you're not moving, and you expect it to stay in proper position when you add forward movement and there's excitement to where you're heading. It's absolute insanity and so unfair to the dog. right? So just like in competition healing, where we teach the stupid prancing and the head is up, we don't add movement to that until the dog could flip into perfect position without movement. Once that's 100%, now we can start adding 1 or 2 steps. But pet dog people, when it comes to walking, they just create this struggle and it's never ending, right? So if you sent me your dog, when I start taking it out for a walk, for one, if you tell me your dog's big issue is reactivity, aggression when it sees dogs, it's not going to see a walk for 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to build everything I need to have with that dog on my property before I take it out. Then when I do take it out, I'm putting it on a 27-foot flexi lead. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to ask it to heel with me for probably 30 seconds, and I'm going to say free, and I'm going to let the dog enjoy the walk, sniff and pee, and truly get fulfilled on that walk. That nose is very important to fulfill. And every now and then, if I have a 30 or 40-minute walk, I may call it to me 3 or 4 times and tell it I need you to walk with me for a few seconds here, right? And then I'll release it again. Or if someone's walking on the same path as us, I may call it into a heel. Now you have to be there. But it's going to spend the majority of that time enjoying the walk as much as I am. So if you stick the dog at your side and it has to go at your speed on a short leash, it's not really very exciting to most dogs. And what you'll find is, by the time I get done with the 40-minute walk and I'm allowing that dog to explore, by the end of that walk, that dog's walking at my side without me asking it to. It's gotten all that satisfaction that it was looking for. It's fulfilled. It's good to go.
Yeah, I like what you said about making it like they like to sniff, and our dogs actually get 2 walks. I take them in the afternoon, usually 1 at a time, but they're I call it a rock around the block. It's literally 10 minutes each, and it's a sniff, a stop, a stroll kind of thing. And they just love it. It's their pace. I never saw the benefit of just making a dog walk on concrete. What is there to sniff on concrete for a dog?
Sure.
Yeah. Like they have to smell other things.
No, that exploration, it's really important. It really is to allow.
It is. And I'll tell you what, our dogs are happier and they're more relaxed in the evening because of that little walk that we do individually.
And a dog like yours, and most dogs, but especially shepherds, right? What I would tell someone like you is, if you learn how to play properly, if what you did in the morning when they're full of energy, 1 good hard play session, 10 minutes long, like all out tug, and then 1 nice walk later in the day on a retractable leash where the dog could explore, your dog doesn't need much more than that. Like they're going to be very fulfilled dogs. It's really that beneficial.
It is. We have a dog that is very food driven, and we have one that's very task driven. Leo will do anything for any food. I'll do whatever you want. But Rocky's like, yeah, I don't care about that. But if you got a ball, throw it. I'll do whatever for the ball, for the fun of the ball or whatever. And so you mentioned that about different different drives for different dogs. Because everybody goes to the fanny pack with the treats. I never walk with the fanny pack of treats.
Listen,
I never do.
I teach all behaviors with food, okay? But I get away from it really quick. Like people misuse and overuse food more than they misuse and overuse e-collars. It's a damn shame. Like,
really?
Oh gosh, they want to feed the dog for everything, thinking you're doing something, and you're not. All you're doing is making that food less rewarding. This is what I tell people. And my wife went to pick up my son. She's not here, thank God. I'm not allowed to use this analogy anymore, okay? But what I tell people is, look, I've been with my wife since high school. She's a very beautiful woman. She's very attractive, and I'm still very attracted to her. But if every day when I came home from work, she was standing in the doorway, butt-ass naked, at first it's going to be pretty exciting. But then after a while, I'm going to be like, holy shit, put on some clothes already, would you? Right? It's going to lose its value.
Yeah, it does.
But people get into habits because it's easy. The same way they do with e-collars, they just press buttons because it's easy. With food, they just shove food. I could tell you stories how I've watched people completely destroy dogs just with food. Like literally mentally destroy them by shoving food in their face for everything. Because again, it becomes habitual for the owner, and then it becomes habitual for the dog, and it becomes an addiction. And for some dogs, the second you stop doing that, they fall apart.
Yeah.
So food is great in training, but you have to know how to use it and when to get rid of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Speaking of food, what do you feed your dogs?
I feed my dog a mix. I feed raw. I feed kibble too because I travel a lot. So I
Hmm.
try to feed the best kibble possible. But let's be honest, all kibble, even the best quality, is still highly processed,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things that people overlook with your dogs is their health and their gut health. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast, really creates a lot of behavioral issues, like massive behavioral issues.
No kidding. No kidding.
So,
And so, yes,
yeah,
to your point about that, that's
totally. Like you have to have your dog's gut in check, right? Or it's
mhm.
going to lead to a lot of issues and many times behavioral issues.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you said that. Have you ever met a vet who's told you not to feed raw?
Oh God, yeah,
I
yeah.
know, it's all over.
The vets don't try to tell me like the vets I use are all awesome and they
Yeah.
trust me and sometimes they'll ask and I don't pretend to be a vet, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you have to remember vets don't have nutritional training. They get
No.
very little.
No.
They don't know about training dogs. They don't know about nutrition unless they went somewhere to truly learn about that. So one of my vets, she retired now, but she was amazing, old school vet, but believed everything that I did, you know, and she did not feed kibble. She only fed raw. Just like me, she didn't give any vaccines past their first year of life. I don't do that either. And so, listen, our dogs are living and dying at a younger and younger age and riddled with cancer because of the food we feed them and the over vaccination. Like I have a dog coming now and I have to give it their heartworm medicine and their tick medicine. I don't give none of that shit to my dogs anymore. First of all, there's no mosquitoes in the winter. Why are you putting poison in your dog
Right.
for heartworms? It's
Right.
freaking insanity. Like it's
Right. It is.
absolute insanity. Now, if
It
you
is.
live in a place where your dog's outside a lot and stays in the yard, you're in Louisiana,
Hmm.
and mosquitoes are so bad, then it's something we have to consider, right? But
Hmm.
my dogs aren't on any of that stuff. I've seen so many dogs go into seizures and become completely destroyed by the topical tick stuff. And now most of it's not even working for ticks anymore. They've become so immune to it, they
Yeah.
become so resistant to it. So all this stuff matters, but the everyday dog owner just does what their vet tells them. But when you look around the vet's lobby, what are they selling? This is money for them. Hey, your dog has a weak stomach. We need to put it on prescription science diet, which is
Yeah.
crap. It's
It is
garbage.
crap.
And it
Hmm.
costs a fortune, right? But
Hmm.
they have to make a living, and I get it. So the good thing is that more and more vets are starting to speak up and be honest about nutrition and vaccines, and that's massively important. Listen, I've done it both. When I really got into raw feeding many years ago, my last Rottweiler, Bruno, who was like my just dream dog, he was my heart and soul. When he got older, he would go to a group class with me, and my clients would throw a ball for him. And after 15 minutes, he would limp around all night. His legs were starting to go when he got older. Also, he had a funk coming out of his mouth, a smell his whole life from when he was young that would literally have me gagging sometimes when he was in the back seat. It was like death. It was the worst odor you could ever imagine. When he got older, I said, I'm going to give this a shot. And so the only thing I was feeding him was chicken leg quarters and backs, some fish here and there. In 2 weeks, my clients could throw a ball for him, the whole 2 hour group class. He wouldn't limp all night. And it's the only thing that got rid of the smell in his mouth. That's when I knew feeding
Hmm.
kibble is not ideal for these dogs. Like
It's
they
not.
completely change. They barely poop. They don't drink water. When they
Right.
do poop, it's small. There's barely any odor to it, and it turns into a white powder and disappears. What's that telling
Right.
you? Like
Yeah.
there is no comparison what's better for the dog. Dogs are meant to eat meat,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even vegetables and whatever to a certain extent, but they're not meant to live in the wild and have processed kibble. That's the equivalent of us eating McDonald's for every meal. That's what that
Yeah.
is.
A vet here said, she goes, it would be equivalent to eating organic Cheerios your whole life.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
I don't, she goes, I don't care if it's salmon, I don't care if it's organic. When it's made into a kibble,
That's
all the
right.
nutrients are baked out of it.
And if you ever saw the stuff they put in it, you know,
Oh.
they're not going to Alaska and catching salmon to put in your dog food, okay? Like
No.
the stuff they're putting in your food. So the kibble I do feed is a Canadian company. The Canadian companies tend to do much better with the kibble, and
Yeah.
it's called Inukshuk. That's the kibble I feed my dogs. All of my dogs do really well on it, like
Yeah.
really well on it.
Yeah.
Some of them poop better on that than they do on some of the commercial
Raw.
raw diets, you know.
Okay.
But like Origin used to be the big Canadian company that was really good, and then they moved to the States, literally a couple of miles from my house, and I couldn't feed it to my dogs anymore because everything
Mm.
changed. The quality of the ingredients changed, and my dogs were getting sick and getting diarrhea, and I said, I can't do it. But being I travel so much and take my dogs with me, I like them to be able to eat both. So
Yeah.
I have a variety, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Hmm.
it's good. I mean, we like a variety of food. Why wouldn't our
Sure.
dogs?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Once in a while, we like some processed food, and why wouldn't our dogs? Also the teeth thing. When dogs eat kibble, they
Oh
get
my
all
God.
this calculus buildup, and then they got to take their dog in and put it under anesthesia to have the teeth cleaned. I never heard of anything so dumb in my life.
When you feed nothing but raw, your dog's teeth stay clean its life, its whole life.
Right.
It's
Right.
like go find a coyote, go shoot a coyote or see a coyote that got hit by a car. Look at their teeth, right? Because
Pearly white. My dogs have no buildup. They have
yeah,
none. Their teeth
yeah,
are white. They have some broken molars because I give them these rawhide bones, but
mhm,
their teeth are so white. It's
yeah,
unbelievable.
big difference. Hmm.
Yeah, I do have a holistic vet here. She's awesome, and
Nice.
she's
That's
always,
awesome.
because you have to show a rabies vaccination to, license your dog, and she'll write
Yeah.
me a note, But I went through plenty of stuff with other dogs about
Oh yeah.
seizures and stuff,
Oh
changing
yeah.
the food.
Well, let's put it this way. I don't give vaccines after the first year. And I went to my vet with my Rottweiler one time, and there were new people working at the desk, and I forget what I was having done with him. They go, "Oh, you're way behind in your shots. We can't let him go back there unless you at least give him the Bordetella, the kennel cough." I said, "Absolutely not." I'm like, "You guys know I don't do that." And they said, "Well, you have to. It's a liability." I said, "Well, then I'll sign a waiver that if anything happens to him, you're not responsible." She said, "Well, it's for the other dogs." And I said, "Well, are the other dogs on the kennel cough?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Then does it not work?" And there was just silence. They didn't know how to
That is
answer that.
so awesome.
Yeah, well, what are you worried about if they're on the kennel cough? They're on the Bordetella already, right? Didn't have an
That is
answer.
so awesome.
Didn't have an answer. But and so they allowed me to do a titer. So they tested his blood, and
Yep.
when it came back, they said, "Oh yeah, everything's still active." That was 8 years after his last vaccinations, and everything was still active. But yet, you're going to take my long-haired Chihuahua, who's 6 pounds, and give him the same dose of medication and rabies that my neighbor's Great Dane gets.
I
How
know.
freaking insane is that? That's disgusting. It should
It
be
is.
illegal. You
Yeah,
know?
it's cruel. It's
Yeah.
actually cruel because it sets you up to be a forever patient to that
Yes.
vet.
100%.
Yeah, because
100%.
then you're in the round robin of, okay, now they have this symptom, now their hips are bad, now they got stomach
Oh
issues.
gosh, yeah.
Like you're just, it's the same thing with people.
Yeah.
Gosh, we could just talk all day about these dogs. Okay, so what are some things people could do today with their dogs, whether their dogs are puppies or 7 years old? What's your gold nugget that someone could do today, or a couple things?
Play. Learn how to
Play.
play. In a way that it makes sense to the dog, not the human. Like truly
Mm,
learn how to play to where the dog thrives, the way two dogs would play with each other. It's that valuable, right? So when I get a puppy, when most people get a puppy, they right away sit down, they're teaching all this obedience. It's backwards, right? Get that dog to fall in love with you through
yeah,
playing in a way that fulfills that dog,
yeah.
right? And really truly learn how to get it. Then when it comes time to actually work on teaching behaviors, it's cake. Like it becomes effortless. And I'm not the only one. It's very popular now. It's catching on more and more, thank God, because people see. Listen, if you send me a dog with a behavioral problem, wants to kill dogs, right? Wants to hurt me. Let's say it's human aggressive. The first thing I'm going to do is get that dog to trust me and get it to play with me. And then we're going to play and play and play until that becomes life for the dog. And then the first time I take that dog off my property and we go find strange dogs, 99 out of 100 times the dogs look at other dogs and go, okay, no problem. Like
Yeah.
and I'm being dead serious about that. And that's why I show so many videos, especially with German Shepherds, when I take them off my property for the first time, that came to me for dog aggression issues. And I have them at the end of a 27-foot flexi in my neighborhood, and you see dogs behind an underground fence come charging and going crazy at this dog, and the dog looks and then just walks off. And people go, okay, but what else did you do to get it there? I said, I showed you. I showed all the videos. They said, no, you're not showing everything. I said, no, I truly am. Like you're missing everything I'm doing and talking about because you're looking for some moment where I kick the dog's ass. That's not happening. It's
Yeah.
not happening. That's what everyone else is doing and failing miserably. You understand?
Right, right. Yeah, one of the things that so our younger dog Rocky, he's very task driven. So he's from the very thick German line, and then Leo's more of an American Shepherd. Leo's like I always say like Bob Marley, and Rocky's like AC/DC. And so Rocky, ever since he was a pup, he would take. We have these indestructible frisbees. He folds it over like a taco with his paw, puts in his mouth, and he literally pushes a ball all around our yard.
That's great.
And so we'll take the ball and we'll throw it this way. He runs to get it. And we say, bring it back. And he brings it back and he backs up. Okay, now where? And we call it plowing our yard. And let me tell you, that dog could do that. We did it all
Yeah.
day yesterday.
Yeah.
Happy as a clam.
Sure.
Just,
Well, and see, you found something that he loves that, right? He shows
loves
you
it.
this is what I love.
Yeah.
And dogs have different play styles and they have different things they love to do. It's important. Find what your dog loves. If you watch me play tug with my German Shepherd, when he gets the tug from me, he jumps up and slams it back into my chest and to continue the game.
Yeah.
If I'm playing with my female Malinois, she gets the tug from me. She wants to tease me with it and wants me to try to snatch it from her and chase her with it, right? I don't dictate the play style, right? I don't tell them, no, I want you to do this. I allow them to show me what they enjoy, their play style, and I'm going to satisfy there. Or back in the day, I used to throw a ball for Luca, my oldest Malinois, who can't do that anymore. And when he would come back with the ball, he would run around, run circles with it. And people used to say to me, why don't you correct that? I say, correct what? For running
Why?
around with the ball. Like, that's what he likes.
Yeah.
That's his
Yeah.
celebration. Why would I stop
Yes.
that? Like, I
Yes.
want him to enjoy this with me so much, and when he's ready for the next throw, he's going to come and drop it, and we're going to do it again. As to where my German Shepherd or my other Malinois, they're going to chase it, bring it back, and drop it, and want me to throw it again, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what we do. They're telling
Yeah.
me how they like to play, and I'm giving that to them so they could be satisfied to the fullest.
Yeah, that is such a good way to look at it, the running, the celebrating, because you can just see when a dog is really happy when they're doing what they love. You can just
Sure.
see it. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool. And if
Yeah.
you can't see it, then you're not paying attention, I
When
think.
my female Malinois comes in the house at night, she goes in a box and takes out every dog toy that's in there. Sometimes they're not toys. And she, to this day, if my kids are here, if my daughter comes home from college, she's always had this thing. We have a really big coffee table in the living room. She just likes to have them follow her around the coffee table over and over and over. And if they stop, she'll shake it and kill the toy and then go the other direction. And this is what she likes. And my two idiot kids will do that nonstop. They'll just keep doing it. I'm like, come on, guys, really? But she
Because
loves
she
it.
likes it. And I
Yeah.
mean, and what's it harming? Nothing.
That's right. She's having the time of her life, and it makes her happy. It makes the kids happy, and she's just the funniest. She makes us laugh constantly. She's a very, very funny dog, you know.
Oh, I
My
think
wife put all the toys away.
stalled up here.
'cause
Can you
she
hear
was-
me okay?
Yeah, yeah. My wife put all the toys away because she got sick of her making a mess. And then we heard her in the bedroom going
Yeah.
through something. She was in my wife's purse or travel bag or something and found something my wife uses in her hair that kind of looks like
Yeah.
a toy. And she came out as proud as could be. You can't be mad at that. There's no way.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good
I love
time.
it. I showed a video the other day of mine taking my gloves. We were getting ready to go for a walk, and Rocky picked up my glove, and he was running. It's like, okay, like you're 5, like we're beyond this, and I just let him do it. And then he dropped the glove, and then Leo picked it up, and then he ran. Like they double teamed me. It was
Yeah.
because we were getting ready to walk out the door.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if my husband were here, he would have been like, stop, and I found it to be kind of, well, very funny, actually. It was no harm. I mean, no big deal. And then
Yeah.
when I did say drop it, they did because they wanted to go. They were just so excited because we had been inside with all the cold, and then they were just, oh, we
Oh
get to
gosh,
go?
yeah,
Let's go.
yeah, for sure.
you
Hmm.
know so I thank you so much for sharing this. I'm gonna so people can find you at the what's the name besides Larry Krohn. Are you under Facebook of the pack?
No, I do everything very unprofessionally. It's my name, Larry
Okay.
Krohn. Like
Yep.
most of my stuff is on Facebook. I try Instagram too, but that's for young kids. I tried the TikTok. I love TikTok, but I don't post much on there. I just
Yeah.
like it for entertainment. And I
Yeah.
have a YouTube channel where there's 900 free videos on there. So
Oh my gosh, you guys check it out because you
yeah,
will learn so much. And I think we'll just leave everybody with play with your dog in the way your dog likes to play,
sure, for
right?
sure. Yeah, we could talk all day for sure.
We could, because I'm all about it. Although I know I've made some mistakes, but yeah. So I'm gonna end it with that, and don't forget if anybody listening or watching, share this because if you have a dog, then there's probably something, probably two or three things you can take away from this episode. So I'm gonna end it here, and then we'll wrap up. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Hey, before you go, would you like to receive my ultimate gut repair guide for free? This guide has everything you need to know about leaky gut, what's causing it, how it's affecting your daily life, a meal plan, and 5 ways you can start healing your gut today. This is the same framework that my VIP clients use when they start healing their gut. It's amazing. All you have to do is leave an honest review of Let's Talk Shit, screenshot it, share it to your Instagram stories, and tag me at Lisa Garrett Nutrition. I hope today's episode inspired you to make some shit happen in your life because you're freaking awesome. And I cannot wait to connect with you next time on Let's Talk Shit.